DJI has just released the Mini 3, its latest drone in its reputable portfolio. This drone is one that could definitely be a good option for a new UAV pilot, but there are probably some others out there who might be wondering what the differences between the Mini 3 and the Mini 2 are. Well, today we're going to go over everything you need to know in order to make the right and perfect choice for you. Now, fair warning, there will be quite a bit of information in this video, but I assure you, if you watch it in its entirety, you'll have all of the information you need so that you don't end up regretting the choice you made later. So in this video, what we'll be talking about is the different options, conditions, controllers, important specs, prices, and finally I'll share my perspective on where I think these drones would be a good fit for someone. The drone only option is the one that you'll get the least amount of stuff with. This option is only available for the Mini 3 and is strictly for people that own a compatible remote controller, which is also something we will talk about later. The standard option for both drones will come with everything you need to take off flying, keep the battery charged, and a few items to maintain the aircraft, like one extra set of propellers that are the A and the B set, some screws, and a screwdriver to change those propellers. The last option is called the Fly More combo, and it comes with everything I just mentioned before within the two other options, but more significantly, it comes with two extra sets of propellers, two extra batteries, a two-way charging hub that can be used to charge your batteries at the fastest rate possible, and a shoulder bag to carry every single thing that comes in this Fly More combo. One thing to note about the Fly More combo for the Mini 2, it does come with two items that the Fly More combo for the Mini 3 does not. Those items are a propeller guard and an 18-watt charger. One option you do have with the Mini 3 versus the Mini 2 is the ability to get something called the Fly More Kit Plus. This was originally made for the DJI Mini 3 Pro. However, since the Mini 3 is made in the same exact image, everything in here actually works for it. The main difference here with the Fly More Kit Plus is the fact that you get two extra batteries like you would in the Fly More combo. However, these batteries actually last 13 minutes longer than the original battery the Mini 3 comes with. Keep in mind, this is a separate purchase, and that means that you'll be paying either $249 for it outright, or you could be cheap like me and actually get it used, which is what I got right here, and this is exactly why you see that used sticker residue right there. I mentioned before that out of both drones, the only one you can get in the refurbished option is the Mini 2 here, at least at this moment in time. I know there's usually a negative connotation with refurbished products, but I can assure you that I have owned two refurbished Mini 2s, and if I was to show you what they look, feel, and fly like, you really wouldn't be able to tell the difference, since DJI does a great job with the quality of their refurbished process. I'd imagine that at some point they'll start having refurbished Mini 3s available, but that depends on if you want to wait or not. Now, for new condition, I don't really think we need to go ahead and talk about that. That one is pretty much self-explanatory. If you're going to buy the product brand new, you know you're going to be paying a little bit more. Now let's go ahead and talk about the controllers. So the choice for the Mini 2 is going to be pretty easy because it's only compatible with this one right here, which is called the RC-N1. With the Mini 3, you do have the option of getting this all-inclusive controller right here, which is called the DJI RC. The first kind of controller I mentioned, called the RC-N1, is the controller you'll commonly see with most of DJI's consumer level drones. This controller uses your smartphone and will come with what you need to connect mostly any smartphone on the planet. Some benefits of this controller include the ability to charge your phone while it's in use with the controller thanks to its large 5200 milliamp hour battery inside, being able to have the option of having a bigger and higher resolution display provided you have a phone with those kind of specs, potentially having more stable and possibly increased range due to the external antenna right here, and the fact that it has a fairly small form factor considering what it does. Some things to be aware of with this controller, however, is the fact that it can only stream at a maximum resolution of 720p 30 FPS from the controller to the aircraft, which means that it doesn't really matter if you have a very high resolution phone. This quality here is always going to be 720p because of the specifications for this controller. The cradle for where your phone sits can only extend to a certain amount, which means if you have a phone like mine, which is the Galaxy Z Fold 4, this will not fit in here unless you close it down. However, other candy bar phones should not be an issue. And the fact that there's no hole here for a lanyard or even screws, so that means that you're essentially holding the controller. And the fact that there are no options for screws on the back or even on the bottom here, which means that you're gonna have to hold this controller securely, because if you drop it, you're dropping your phone also. The second controller, called the DJI RC, it's an all-inclusive consolidated solution like I mentioned before, and the benefits of this controller are that it comes with a large 5.5-inch display, runs Android and the DJI Fly app embedded into this controller, can stream up to 1080p at 60 frames per second, provided you have a drone that's compatible with that feed transmission. It has a 4-hour battery life, a slot for a memory card, and a USB-C host port, which means you can connect things like external storage, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth built in. And it does definitely have some screw threads on the back here, as well as 2 on the bottom here for connecting things like a lanyard loop or even sort of a neck strap of sorts. Some things to be aware of with this controller is that the screen only goes up to 700 nits of brightness, which can make it hard for some to see in bright lighting conditions. It is bigger than the RC N1. It can take some time to start up, which means that if you were trying to catch something like a sunset or just something off in the distance or something close to you, you can miss out on time because of how long it does take. As you can see here, it's actually still taking its sweet time to start up. And if you want to save videos from the aircraft on it, you'll have to make sure you have an SD card inserted to do so, which effectively means you need a SD card for the aircraft and one for the controller. Now that we've gone over the different options, conditions, and controllers, let's move on to the important specs. Now, the first and arguably one of the more important specifications is the fact that both of these drones weigh 249 grams with the standard battery. You'll notice here on the Mini 2 that's actually printed on the drone, and that is because there is no official extended battery for this drone, while on the Mini 3 it's printed on the actual battery because, if you remember that Fly More Kit Plus I was talking about before, you do get 2 batteries in there that actually last longer than this one, which means that if you were to use this Intelligent Flight Battery Plus here, this effectively means that your drone no longer weighs 249 grams. Now, people who have been flying UAVs, aircrafts, or drones, whatever you want to call them, for a much longer period of time will know this, but the reason that the weight class is so important is because the FAA, the association that governs all of the airspace above us, currently states that a UAV weighing 249 grams need not be registered within the US. And the next reason is because if you did decide to go for the Mini 3 and decided to purchase this extended battery, that would mean, again, your Mini 3 no longer is in that 249 gram weight class, since this battery does weigh more. To put both of these reasons together, this means that to fly legally, you'll have to not only register the aircraft, but take what's called the trust test in order to get your trust license. Passing this test will allow you to register your Mini 3 with the Intelligent Flight Battery Plus and be compliant with the laws that are set forth. Don't worry about that test though, honestly, it's pretty easy. It's like common sense, pretty straightforward. And it'll only cost you $5 to get that trust license, and then you can register up to a certain amount of drones. I believe maybe it's 10. Keeping on with the battery, since we're already talking about it, you'll notice that the Mini 3 does have the advantage here. It seems that you can get anywhere from 4 to 7 minutes more flight time on just the standard battery when compared to the Mini 2. There's also the fact that you have the option to purchase the Intelligent Flight Battery Plus I mentioned earlier, and doing this can extend your flight time by up to 15 to 20 minutes when compared to the standard battery on the Mini 2, and by up to 11 to 13 minutes when compared to the standard battery that comes with the Mini 3. The last advantage that the Mini 3 has over the Mini 2 is the fact that it does charge faster whether you're charging the battery directly inside of the aircraft or using the two-way hub you would get with something like the Fly More combo. It can charge up to a total of 30 watts versus the maximum of 18 watts you get on the Mini 2 when charging in the aircraft. Let's talk about the camera and gimbal next. So right off the bat, the first thing someone should know is that the max camera resolution is the same on both drones here, which means you're still going to be taking photos at a max resolution of 12 megapixels. What has changed is the size of the sensor on the Mini 3. You're effectively getting a bigger sensor and a larger aperture than you would on the Mini 2, which gives you more flexibility in different lighting situations. In terms of video, one thing to note is that yes, you can record up to 4K on both of these drones. However, the max frames per second you'll get is 30, not 60. This may not be such a big deal, but it's one worth knowing if you're expecting to have 4K 60 FPS footage. Another advantage the Mini 3 has over the Mini 2 is the gimbal range. The reason this may matter to you is because you'll probably find that with the Mini 2, if you want to take pictures above the aircraft, you'll most likely have to either get up to a certain height or pull it back so that you can get certain things within the range of the camera's sensor. This may not be an issue with the Mini 3 because the gimbal actually goes upward 60 degrees, which means that you can capture things above the drone without having to either pull it back or bring it higher due to the fact that its gimbal can tilt farther upward. There is also the fact that the gimbal on the Mini 3 can be used to take portrait photos. The last thing to go over with the cameras on both of these drones is the kind of actions you can complete as well as the automated features they come with. The good news is that both aircrafts come with the same exact camera actions and automated features. However, the Mini 3 does have one advantage in the video department. Let's go ahead and take a look at all of the things you can do with the camera. So when taking photos, you can take a single shot. You can use auto exposure bracketing to take multiple shots with different exposures. And you can do a time shot where the drone will take a photo at an interval you set, which can be anywhere from 2 seconds to 60 seconds. Moving on to video, at this point I think I stressed enough that both aircrafts can do up to 4K at 30 frames per second, but the advantage I talked about with the Mini 3 before is the fact that out of these two drones, the Mini 3 is the only one that can record in HDR. And it can do this in 24, 25, and 30 frames per second. Aside from that though, all of the other aspects of video recording will be the same. The next feature that's the same on both of these drones is the quick shots. These are pretty much automated shots that both drones can do. You have shots like Droney that send the drone back and upwards to get a better view of what's behind you, or even Helix, which sends the drone into a loop that gradually expands. The last feature you have is panoramic shots, which can be done in a sphere form, 180 degrees, or a wide angle form. Panoramic shots are great when you want to showcase what's around you and give someone a feel for this. They're definitely much better when using a drone since, we humans can't fly and all. And they're also one of my favorite kind of picture, or I guess maybe they're video, or maybe they're like a hybrid, I don't know. So as you can see, both of these drones do provide decent image quality, actually even better than decent in some cases. They also provide quite a bit of automated features. Now, of course, you do have drones out there that have bigger and better cameras than these, but you can really get away with some great imagery if you open your mind a bit. The next specification to talk about is obstacle avoidance. Now, obstacle avoidance is one of those things that can help out in unexpected situations where your drone might hit something in a specific direction. The only form of obstacle avoidance on both of these drones is downward, which means the drones cannot see what is on top of them, in front, in the back, the left side, or the right side of any of them. It can only see downwards. This is very important to know because if you happen to be moving in any one of these directions where obstacle avoidance isn't available, you can definitely hit something like a wall or a tree that is in front of the aircraft, or in the back of it, or any of the other two directions I mentioned. The other thing to know about obstacle avoidance sensors is that they do need quite a bit of light in order to work properly. Now, the downward sensors, being the only sensors on both of these drones, do work very well in being able to see what's underneath the drone. But that's to be expected since those sensors are actually used to land both drones. Now, obstacle avoidance isn't perfect even if you have the feature in all directions anyway. There are things like the effective speed at which the drone is able to calculate how to avoid said obstruction, and that means you can't fully rest even when you have it built in all directions. It can help you save money though, and sometimes it can make for useful dynamic shots like this one I took in the forest on my Mini 3 Pro. When talking about the video transmission systems, DJI mentions that both aircrafts use DJI O2 to transfer a video feed back to your controller. The quality of this feed certainly gets the job done, and it's more than usable. I personally think that the only issue that could arise is if you happen to see another drone that's able to output a higher quality feed, and then you end up wanting that quality. Some of the other important specs you'll want to know is the fact that both aircrafts have a level 5 wind resistance. This means that both drones can stand up to 19 to 24 mile per hour winds. Both aircrafts also use the same exact GPS types. I actually did a test on the speed at which they acquire satellites, and the Mini 2 actually performed better than the Mini 3. But to be fair, I do remember having the same exact issue when I owned a Mini 2 way back, and DJI did push out an update for the Mini 2 that did fix this issue. Both drones have no internal storage, which means you will need a micro SD card in order to store photos and videos. And both have USB Type-C charging ports, which is good if you own other devices with USB Type-C charging ports. Okay, so we definitely just went over a lot of stuff, but it is now time for the pricing. So what you're going to pay for either of these drones is going to depend on what you really find worth it. Now, as we go through these prices, you're going to want to remember what each option comes with, like we talked about towards the beginning of this video. So the least amount you're going to pay here is for a refurbished Mini 2. The standard option comes in at $359, while the next price up would be for the refurbished condition Mini 2 with the Fly More combo, which comes in at $479. If refurbished products aren't your thing, then you can definitely go ahead and purchase the Mini 2 brand new for $449. This would be for the standard option. The drone with the Fly More combo is going to cost you $599. Now, like I mentioned before, the Mini 3 is not available in refurbished condition, only brand new at this point in time. You'll also want to remember that it's the only one of these two that is compatible with both the RC-N1 and DJI RC. You can buy the drone only for $469, but remember that this option is really meant for those that already have either one or both compatible controllers. If you purchase the Mini 3 in the standard option with the RC-N1, that will cost you $559. Purchasing the drone with the RC-N1 and Fly More combo will cost you $718. The Mini 3 in the standard option with the DJI RC will cost you $699, and for the final price, the drone with the DJI RC and Fly More combo will cost you $858. So that was a mouthful, like literally everything else I have said in this video, but as you can see, there are a lot of different options to choose from here. So for the last part of this video, what I want to do is offer my perspective when thinking about both of these drones. So both of these are going to be great for anybody with any experience level, whether that be beginner or expert. I think that the Mini 2 fits very well into the category of being a great base model that will leave you satisfied, while the Mini 3 also does fit into the same category, but one thing that it offers is scalability in terms of what it's compatible with. For instance, it's the only one of the two that actually works with the DJI RC, at least right now in this moment. It has enhanced battery life even with the standard battery, but also allows you to purchase the Intelligent Flight Battery Plus to extend that battery. It also offers HDR quality for both photos and videos, and let's not forget about the fact that that gimbal range cannot be beat. And I guess the last thing to say would be the fact that it can take vertical videos, which give you some options when you're posting content on social media. Now, this may not be the perfect way to put all of this, but really and truly, I don't think that there's anybody that's going to be dissatisfied with either option. It's just if you find yourself wanting more, the Mini 3 will pretty much get you as close to more without taking much out of your pockets, while the Mini 2 will just give you that base to work with. So that is really all I have to say about both of these amazing choices in the drone space. As always, I hope this video was helpful, and if you got something out of it, please consider giving it a thumbs up, as this will actually help me gauge whether content like this is actually helpful. With all that being said though, thank you for watching, and if you stuck it out till the end, I thank you for that also, because I know this was a pretty long video, but I like to make sure that I include as much information as possible. But with that being said, wherever you are in the world, have a great day, a great afternoon, a great evening, or a great night, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.